guys, it's Rachel here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a reading vlog for Heir by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third installment in the Throne of Glass series. For those of you who are new to my channel, or for those of you who may not know, I am doing an entire reading vlog series for the Throne of Glass series. I have never read this series before, and so I thought it would be cool for me to document my reactions and what I think of each book as we go along. So I will definitely link my vlogs for both Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight down below. Just so you guys know, there will be no major spoilers. I will be talking about characters and their relationships with one another, but I will not be talking about major events that happen in each book. So if you haven't read these books yet, there's nothing to worry about. So I've actually already started this book. I am on page 106, and this book is quite a bit chunkier than the first two installments. This one is about like 560 pages or so, so this one's definitely going to take me quite a bit longer to read than the first two books. And so far this book is very interesting, and I can tell that the world that this book takes place in is already expanding so much beyond the first two books. We're already getting so much more information about the magic system and about the Fae in this world. And right before I stopped reading today, they introduced dragons, which I think they call wyverns or wyverns. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that word, but I'll put like a little subtitle here so you know what I'm talking about. But they are essentially dragons, and I am so here for that. I will say these first 100 pages or so have been a little bit slow for me to get through, just because there is a lot of new information being thrown at us at this point with the expansion of this world. Selena at this point is no longer in Adarlan. In the beginning of this book, she is actually in Wendlin, which is another kingdom across a body of water from where Adarlan is. So we're just learning a lot about who she is and where she is and different characters that she interacts with. We have been introduced to two major characters. The first one is named Manon. I think that's how it's pronounced, and she is a witch actually, so it's been really interesting getting her point of view. And then we have also been introduced to Rowan, who is a Fae prince that Selena has been interacting with, and he is a very interesting character as well. He is very different from Doreen and Kale. I immediately find myself comparing him to those two characters because I can pretty much tell that Rowan is most likely going to become a love interest for Selena. So yeah, I don't have a ton to say right now, but it is very interesting so far. I'm just now kind of getting to a part in the book that is moving a little bit faster and is a bit more interesting, whereas before that I was just having to take a lot of information in, and so my reading experience wasn't as enjoyable. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. I will definitely check in with you guys at some point tomorrow. Hey guys, so it is Friday night, so I thought I would give you guys a bit of a reading update. So I have made quite a bit of progress. I am on page 232, and that is chapter 28. I don't have a ton of things to say, but what I will say is that as I'm reading this book and as I'm getting into the story, it is getting more and more interesting. The first 100 pages were a little bit of a struggle for me to get through, but as I've kept reading on, I am just really enjoying where the story is going, and I feel like the pacing is also getting faster as we go along. I'm also really enjoying Rowan, who is a new character in this book. He is Fae. And at first I kind of hated him, but now I really enjoy his character because I just love how he calls Selena out on her shit all the time. I feel like Kale and Dorian kind of let Selena get away with too much sometimes, and I love that Rowan just doesn't allow any of that to happen. He is not here for the bullshit, and I'm here for that. So yeah, that's really all I have to say for now. I'm also really obsessed with the incorporation of dragons in this book. Those chapters are just super interesting to me. I'm gonna probably read like 50 more pages or so before I go to bed tonight, but I thought that I would just give you an update now before I get really tired. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, it is Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. I thought I would do a little bit of a reading update. Now, I don't have a ton of things to say about the book so far. I'm actually quite a bit of the way through. I think I'll be able to finish it probably not today, but tomorrow, and then tomorrow I will film like my whole like wrap up and review of Heir. But just to kind of give you an update, I am on chapter 45, and that is page 387. So I'm just about 70% of the way through right now. And the only notable thing I really wanted to talk about with the book so far is the progression of Rowan and Celaena's relationship. I can definitely tell that they're probably eventually going to fall in love with each other, but I really love this slow progression of their relationship so far. At the beginning of the book, they hated each other, and like I said in my last update, Rowan was giving Celaena just a lot of shit, but I was here for it because I feel like somebody needed to kind of put Celaena in her place. I feel like she is just, I don't know, naturally a very arrogant person, but I think also she uses that as kind of a front for some type of insecurity and fear. But now as we're going along, we're seeing that Rowan and Celaena are really finding this mutual respect for each other, and they're also becoming kind of territorial and protective of each other, but they're both kind of making a point to say that it's not necessarily like a romantic kind of protection. I think that they just really respect each other and are starting to really care for each other, but maybe not necessarily as like a romantic interest, but as friends. That's really the only major thing I wanted to kind of update you guys about. I am really enjoying this book. Probably more than both Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. I really like the pacing of this book. I like the different POVs we have going on. We are following Celaena's point of view. We've also gotten a little bit of Rowan's point of view, which has been really interesting. We also follow Chaol, Dorian, and Aedion. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Aedion is Celaena's cousin. And then we're also following Manon's point of view, and Manon is one of the witches that is training with the wyverns. I'm pretty sure that's how they're pronounced, which are essentially dragons, but apparently they're a little bit different from dragons, at least according to Wikipedia, but they are very similar kinds of creatures. And that's also a very interesting storyline as well. But I'm sure once I get to the end of this book, I will have a lot of thoughts. So I will definitely update you guys probably either some point tomorrow or maybe Tuesday morning. I'll film like my final review and everything. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for now, and I'll talk to you later. All right, everyone, it's Wednesday, my dudes, and I am here to finally film my final wrap-up and review of Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. So I think first I'm going to talk a bit about character development because there is quite a bit that happens in this book. For one thing, I'm just so like happy and proud of Celaena. I feel like she's grown so much in this book. I think a big part of that is her growing relationship with Rowan. I just love seeing someone in Celaena's life who really kind of knows her and understands her more than anybody else. I mean, Dorian and Chaol are wonderful friends to Celaena, but they're not quite on the same level as Rowan is. Celaena and Rowan just have this connection that I feel like she could never have with any other character in this series so far. And I know that quite a few people are probably not the biggest fans of Rowan or like Rowan and Celaena's relationship, because they kind of find Rowan to be abusive, and I can see where people are coming from with that, but in terms of this story, I just think it makes so much sense to have a character like Rowan who really fights with Celaena, doesn't deal with her bullshit, really calls her out. I think she's needed a character like that. And while Chaol kind of started out like that, he kind of softens a lot throughout the first two books. So I feel like he's not as much of an opponent as Rowan is. Yeah, overall, I just loved their progression of their relationship. I just thought it was very organic how they go from really, really hating each other to, by the end of this book, they are really close friends, and you can tell that they really love each other so far in a very platonic way. I also really enjoyed both Chaol and Dorian's character development. Dorian is just the sweetest prince, but I also love that in this book we're really starting to see his backbone, especially when it comes to both conversations that he has with Chaol as well as conversations that he has with his father, the King of Adarlan. You can tell that he's really starting to get tired of the bullshit, and I really like that he's starting to call people out on it. I also like that it seems like Kale and Dorian are starting to find their way back to each other as friends. In Crown of Midnight, they really weren't in many scenes together, and they both just felt kind of awkward around each other, so we didn't see a lot of conversations between the two of them. But in this book, we see their friendship developing again, and I just really love that because I think Kale and Dorian need each other so much. I'm also loving the character of Manon, who I talked about earlier. She is a witch, part of the Blackbeak Coven, and I really like her development because at the beginning of this book, basically she's been ingrained into her that witches don't really have a heart, they don't really have a soul, and so she's really a cold-blooded person. See her realize that she does have a soul, she does have a heart, and I loved seeing her fight for the things that are important to her, and I think that through these upcoming books I'm going to love her character more and more. So I think that's all I'm going to say about character development. Since I last updated you guys, a lot of things happened in this book. There's a really epic battle scene towards the end that involves Rowan and Selena actually fighting with each other instead of against each other, because like I said, most of this book has been them kind of fighting against each other, and now they have really bonded together, and it's really cool to see what that bond does on the battlefield. And at the end of this book, we also get a very clear plot point now that Selena is headed back to Adarlan, which makes me very uneasy because of the events that happened at the end of this book. But I'm also just really excited to see how these characters develop now that she's coming back. So yeah, I think that's going to be about it for my review of Heir of Fire. Like I said, this has been my favorite book of the series so far, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And that is going to be it for this reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you would also consider subscribing, and don't forget to push that notification bell button below so that you will be notified every time I upload. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!